So tax lien certificates, categorically, these are the safest, the most lucrative investment in America. They're the safest. Now, here's why.
I've got my special guest back here, the foremost authority on tax liens, tax deeds, and really good friend, Ted.Thomas. Hey, Ted. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
So we were talking about tax liens. Again, can you just do a quick review for folks who may not have been with us yesterday, talking about tax lien certificates, what they're all about?
Okay, great. Folks, across America, all property is taxed with the exception of the schools, the universities, and the churches. And so those institutions are tax-free, but everyone else has to pay a tax. Now, generally speaking, the tax on property is 1 or 2%. Now, New York and California might be a little higher. You might be in a place just a little higher, but it's not a burdensome thing. And what we're talking about is property tax. Now, I forgot to say that when I talked in the first one, but we're talking about property. So this is not a sales tax. It's not excise tax. It's not. It's really like a wealth tax. It actually all came from England a couple of hundred years ago. And what I teach is I teach people how to make money in this business. You say, well, make money on taxes, right? That sounds crazy. Well, when people don't pay their tax, the county has a problem. The problem is this. Number one, they've got to pay the firefighters. Number two, they got to pay the police. Number three, they're going to pay the school teacher. You're getting the idea. Someone has to fix the roads. So if someone doesn't pay the tax, now the county has a shortfall. So the legislature of the state and the county, they got together. And they said, look, we got to do something about this. People have to pay their tax. So here's what they do. Half of the states, like Maryland, they have to pay on a tax lien certificate. So what'll happen is the county will say, you didn't pay your tax, so they'll send you out a little bill and tell you about it. But for the rest of us, they'll publish a notice and they'll put it in the paper and just be a piece of it. So I could buy a tax lien and pay your tax. Now, why in goodness would I want to pay your tax? Because if I pay your tax, then when you come in to pay, and 97% of people will pay, we know that. So we know you're going to come in and pay, but when you come and pay, you're going to pay late. So every month that you're late in Maryland, it's going to be like 2% a month. So if you stay late all year, that's 24%. I'm going to get the 24%. So when it comes in late, the money all goes to the government sends me 24%. Well, if I can make 24% of my investments, I'm like Warren Buffett. I mean, think about that, 24%. So I'll pay taxes on any property that I've looked at. Now, if I haven't looked at it, I'm not going to do it. But I'll pay taxes because I could make these high returns. All right, the other side of it very quickly is there's states like Virginia, New York, California, they're not so benevolent. They say, we're not issuing those tax certificates. If people don't pay their tax, wacko, they slap your hand, they confiscate the house. In other words, they evict you from your property because it's a privilege to own property. And the privilege is they'll let you do anything you want. You can cut it up, you can sell it, you can rent it. But one thing you got to do is you got to pay a tax. And so that's like 1%. So in Virginia, it's going to move you out of that house. Then they're going to sell it. So the government is in place for one reason only. That's to collect the taxes. When they collect the tax, disperse it out. The county now is dispersing it out. Firefighters, policemen, school teachers, people to fix the roads, someone to take care of the library, all the county service, well, including, what about people at the hospital? Some people can't afford the hospital, so they send money to the hospital. So all of that's done by the county, but they have to have money. So that's why we have a property tax, and you have to pay it. If you don't pay it, and lots of people don't. For example, I'm talking to you in Florida. In Florida, in the month of May, they'll have 67 counties. If I add them all up for you, I'll add them up because I got a computer to do it. I add it up. There will be 1 million people, property owners, haven't paid their tax.
Wow.
1 million. Wow. And so I can buy a certificate. And if I buy the certificate, I can make 18% in Florida. Nice. So there's kind of a summary.
Nice, nice. So does every state in the union have this kind of a tax certificate program?
Every state in the union has either, they all have the same program. It's either tax liens or it's tax deeds. Like Virginia does tax deeds, they don't mess around with the tax liens. They're firm. You're going to pay right now. Tax lien states, very benevolent state. They don't kick the people out. You see, a tax lien is a good deal for everybody. It's a good deal for you because you make money, but the homeowner doesn't get kicked out. So, people have trouble in life. Sometimes, what if your wife was sick? Would you pay the government or would you pay for the hospital? Well, you pay the hospital. Yeah. So now your tax is late. So then you recover. You go, well, what if you lost your job? People lose jobs, okay? All kinds of crises happen in life. So a tax certificate is pretty good. You don't get kicked out, but you're going to have to pay a penalty. And you can pay a master charge late, you pay a penalty, same thing.
Yeah. So how is it that, I got an account at Fidelity, got an account at Charles Schwab? How come those guys don't tell me about this kind of stuff? Because you don't 18,
Oh
24%
dear.
rates of return.
Okay. All right. Folks, the reason you don't know about it is nobody's at fault here. Our system is if a stockbroker is selling things, they get paid for doing that. If an attorney talks to you and gives you advice on the phone, they get paid for that. Well, the county doesn't let anybody get paid on tax certificates. So you're going to have to learn how to buy them direct. Gotcha. And that's what I do. I teach people how to do this direct. I teach you how to do it. Just sit on your rusty dusty at home. Just sit on your computer and we'll teach you. Matter of fact, we're the only organization in the world that I know of, okay, that has teachers every day. We not only, when people get involved with us, we have what we call facilitators. So you're studying, you start scratching your head, just dial the phone and they'll tell you, they'll give you an answer. Nice. So we've been doing this. This is my 30th year doing the same business. 30th year.
Now we've got friends and family from outside the state of Maryland, outside the U.S., as a matter of fact. Can you do this from anywhere in the world?
If you have a computer and it's online, yes. Okay. The only thing that you need to have is a USA bank account because you see the counties here, we're the last island in the world. This is the only place they only talk one language. And so you have to be here and be able to have an account here. So everything's done in US dollars.
Gotcha.
So so if you are in France, or I have clients in the United Kingdom, all of the Canadian provinces, they can get a USA account very easily. So this can all be done online from any country that you want.
Gotcha. So which if I'm a new person, where do I start? Do I start with the certificates or do I go straight to the deeds?
All the real estate guys are going to go straight for the deeds because they got greed lands about that big. So they really want to go for the gold. If you're a conservative investor and you're just getting started, or you're a senior, unlike myself, you want to be very conservative with your investment. So tax lien certificates, categorically, these are the safest, the most lucrative investment in America. They're the safest. Now, here's why. You can't invest with Ted.Thomas. There's no broker. You're going to invest directly with the county. And when the people come in and pay their tax, you're going to get a check back from the county. Now, if you do it online, you're not going to get a check. They're just going to notify you by text that your bank account just increased. They send it right to your bank account. So a tax lien certificate is safe and secure. If you have real estate experience, you'll just fall in love with these tax deeds because they're actually selling the property. The big caution there, the big mistake people make is you don't want to go to a list. Let me show you a list.
Okay.
So this will be a list in California. All right. This list will have 2,000 properties that they're going to sell for back taxes. There's 2,000 on this list. All right. What you don't want to do is what I'm going to do right now. You don't want to go in here and say, oh, I like that number. There's a property description. You can't see it from where you are.
Okay.
And start buying it. What you need to do is you have to get boots on the ground and eyes on the property.
Okay.
And then you buy it. So you might want to hire somebody to go there with a video camera, but everybody's got one in their back pocket nowadays.
Yep.
I mean, what does it matter? You take your iPhone and take a look at it.
And does it matter where I'm going after? Big deals, small deals, sliver here, mansion?
Well, I can tell you, if you've got money, this is a seriously good business because there's going to be $500,000 properties that are going to come up for auction. There's going to be $1 million properties. I mean, I don't have the time right now on camera, but I could find some in here that'll have a tax assessed value of $500,000 or $1 million. Well, those properties aren't going to get sold for 5 cents. They're going to get sold for, I'd say $1 million property is probably going to go out the door at $250,000, $300,000.
Gotcha.
But look at the margin from 300 to $1 million. Yeah. Or why not buy a lot of properties in that? I tell people if you can get properties that are resellable, like the average house today is right around 300,000. Now, your market, it's higher than that. You're more than 5 or 7. But if you can get $300,000, those are going to sell like that.
Yep.
I mean, because that's what young people want. Exactly. So if you can get those and get them for 30 cents on the dollar, you're doing well. You're doing well. Now, there's many properties that will be sold for 5 and 10 cents on the dollar.
That's great.
The bidding starts at the back taxes are very close. The county seizes the property. Then all they do is they wait until the auction. Then they resell it back into the marketplace. They don't care what they get. They just, when they put the minimum bid is what they want, and that's the back taxes, and put the property on the tax roll.
And I think yesterday you said that it's like 1%. So if I got a $400,000 house, You're talking about $4,000 in potentially back taxes for 1 year.
Yeah, but it'll be behind a few years. So add it up. Say it might start at $10,000 or $15,000 because again, fines.
Still, for 10 or 15 on a $400,000 house, that really is pennies on the dollar.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, and when I started, I would tell people you can buy for 5 or 10 cents on the dollar. Now I tell them buy for 25 and 30 cents on the dollar, only because that people just wouldn't believe that they could do that. But it's going to happen. I mean, I've got all kinds of case studies. Now I'll put a little video in here. Now I'll show you a couple.
Yeah.
I taught them how to do it. They're going to buy up in Michigan. By the way, in Michigan, you can actually use your credit card to buy a property. The same thing in New York.
Wow.
I bought $300,000 properties, not $100,000, a $300,000 value. I bought it at auction, and I got it for 30 cents on the dollar. So I thought it was worth 400. I paid 120, and I did it with a credit card.
Nice. All
right. So I'm going to show a couple in the video.
Okay.
These numbers are so small, but they made so much. So this is how the little guy gets started. They paid $8,000 for a house.
Okay.
4-bedroom, 1 bath.
Nice.
They kind of cleaned it up and whatever. So they spent 8. They cleaned it up. Now they're in at 12.
Okay.
They put the signs up like we taught them. We tell them buy it low, sell it low. It had a $55,000 value.
Mm-hmm.
They bought it for 8.
Mm-hmm.
They're in at 12.
Mm-hmm.
They sold it like that for $35,000, and then we said do an installment contract.
Hmm.
So they took 10 years of payments. They got $52,000 out of a $12,000 investment.
Sweet.
What was the
Very
risk?
nice.
What was the risk? So people are doing that all the time. I've got one guy that's worked with me. He started out a few years ago. He's now done 60 properties at auction with no money, his credit card.
Nice.
So this business is wide open. They can't sell all the properties. Now, I know you don't believe me, but they can't sell all the properties because the people don't know about it. So I'm going to show you a brochure. Okay. I'm off track. Let me see if I got one right here. Okay, these are brochures that I just printed before we started. Okay, I downloaded this offline. This is Sullivan County. I'm just going to put it up so the camera can see it. It says Sullivan County. All right, let me move it on. Sullivan County. That's 1 hour and 15 minutes from New York City.
Wow.
1 hour and 15 up in the big oak trees, rolling hills, whatever.
Yeah.
They can't sell all the property. They had an auction, and it says right on it, you probably can't read it, but up here it says 215 properties, starting bid, back taxes.
That's amazing.
They couldn't sell them all. They could not sell all the property. Why? Here's the big mistake. Yeah. Unfortunately, the government always doesn't think things out too well.
Yeah.
They can only advertise in the county they're in. The county can only.
That's crazy.
All right, I want you to think about that. The county is here. New York City is here.
They can't advertise in New York.
There's 8 million people sitting here. They don't even advertise.
Oh my God. Talk about small thinking.
We won with a bid of $7,900.
Here we are. This is Fraser Street.
And look at that wonderful sign. It's amazing about the signs. You know, we didn't even think anything about this sign stuff. And it was brought to our attention by Ted that, you know, this is a surefire way to get people's attention. And he's absolutely right.
Yeah, and that day, then we had neighbors and people that had been driving by stop and check out the property, and so this is how it went. We ended up using Facebook Marketplace and our cool sign, and the guy that bought it ended up coming off Facebook. None of those people that came and stopped and looked at it were anybody that bought the house. And so for us, the loan amount, we just plugged it in here, $35,000 at 8.5%, over 10 years at 12 payments a year, and the start date. So then the summary though, this is so then if a person makes a payment, this is the balance, they make their payment, you can even plug in their extra payment and the date, and it'll adjust your interest and stuff for you. So you don't have to hand figure that out. It's just like when you go to the bank. So for us, once we plugged all this in, it came up with that his payments would be $411, and he would have these many payments. We had him make bigger payments the first 6 months to make up for the idea that he didn't have a big down payment. So he paid us more those first 6 months, and now he pays $411. But the total interest then, the interest made on all the money that was in here, just the interest, it amounts to $15,995.51. So that's just the interest. That's just profit. It was $23,443 profit on the sale.
And $15,995 profit on the note.
So all of our investment, which of course we've already gotten back, and the profit on the property and the profit on the note. So the total for just the profit part, not our investment, but the total profit part is $39,438. And I think for that $12,000, that's a pretty good deal.